Hello friends, welcome to the Point. In this session, we are discussing about Prime Minister. Our constitution has provided us the parliamentary system of government. The president is said to be a nominal executive authority, which is also called as de jure executive. And Prime Minister, he is said to be the real executive authority, which is called as de facto executive. We can say that president is head of the state and prime minister is head of the government. Appointment of prime minister. The constitution does not provide any procedure for the selection and appointment of the prime minister. And according to Article 75, only president can appoint prime minister. It doesn't mean that the president can appoint anyone as a prime minister. The president should appoint a leader of the majority party in the Lok Sabha and he will be the prime minister. If suppose there is no party that has a clear majority in the Lok Sabha, and then the president will exercise his personal discretion in selection and appointment of the prime minister. In such a situation, the president appoints the majority party leader as a prime minister or a coalition in the Lok Sabha as the prime minister of India. After the appointment of a prime minister, the prime minister he should seek a vote of confidence in the house within a month. If suppose he is not able to prove his vote of confidence, then that person cannot continue as a prime minister. In the year 1997, Supreme Court said that a person who is not a member of either Lok Sabha nor Rajya Sabha, he can be appointed as a prime minister. But within 6 months, he should become a member of either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, else he will cease his office. Constitutionally, Prime Minister may be a member of either Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. For example, 3 Prime Ministers like Indira Gandhi, Deve Gowda and Manmohan Singh, they were the members of Rajya Sabha, but still they were the Prime Ministers. In Britain, the Prime Minister should mandatorily be the member of lower house, that is the House of Commons. Oath, term and salary of a Prime Minister. Before entering into his office, Prime Minister should take an oath or give an affirmation that he will bear the true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India and he will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India and he faithfully and conscientiously discharges the duties and functions of his office and he will always do the right to all manner of people in accordance with the Constitution and the law without any fear or favor, affection or ill will. The Prime Minister, he swears that he will not directly or indirectly will communicate or reveal to any person about any matter that is brought under his consideration until and unless it becomes a law or an act. And this will be his oath of secrecy. The term of Prime Minister, it is not fixed and he holds his office during the pleasure of President. And this does not mean that the President he can dismiss the Prime Minister at any time. So long as the Prime Minister enjoys the majority and support in the Lok Sabha, he cannot be dismissed by the President. And suppose if Prime Minister loses his confidence in the Lok Sabha, at that time the Prime Minister has to resign from his office. If the Prime Minister does not resign, then the President has a right to dismiss Prime Minister from his office. The salary and allowances of a Prime Minister, they are being decided by the Parliament from time to time. The Prime Minister gets the salary and allowance that are payable to a member of a Parliament. And apart from that, additionally Prime Minister gets a sumptuary allowances, free accommodation, travelling allowance, medical facilities, etc. In the year 2001, the Parliament has increased the Prime Minister's sumptuary allowances from 1,500 to 3,000 per month. Powers and functions of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister has a powers and function in relation to Council of Ministers, in relation to the President, in relation to Parliament, and there are also other powers and functions of a Prime Minister. Let's discuss about the powers and functions of a Prime Minister in relation to the Council of Ministers. Prime Minister, will recommend a person who can be appointed as a minister by the president, and the president should appoint only those persons as ministers who are recommended by a prime minister. Prime minister allocates and reshuffles various portfolios among the ministers. The prime minister, he can ask a minister to resign at any time, or he can advise a president to dismiss that person in case of difference of opinion. A prime minister, he presides over the meeting of council of ministers and he influences its decisions. Prime minister guides, he directs, he controls and he coordinates activities of all the ministers. Prime Minister can bring about the collapse of the Council of Ministers by resigning from his office. That means if a Prime Minister has resigned his office, then all the ministers under him loses their power. We can also say that when the Prime Minister resigns his office, then the Lok Sabha members also get dissolved. Powers and functions of the Prime Minister in relation to the President. A Prime Minister is said to be a channel of communication between the President and the Council of Ministers. And it is the duty of Prime Minister to communicate to the President regarding the decisions of the Council of Ministers that may be related to administration or it may be related to a proposal for legislation. Prime Minister, he advises the President regarding the appointment of important officials like Attorney General of India, Comptroller and Auditor General of India, the Chairman and the members of UPSC, Election Commissioners, and the Chairman and the members of Finance Commission, etc. Powers and functions of the Prime Minister in relation to the Parliament. The Prime Minister is said to be the leader of lower house, that is the Lok Sabha. And in this capacity, the Prime Minister advises the President regarding a summoning or proroguing of the session of the Parliament. Prime Minister can recommend the dissolution of the Lok Sabha at any time to the President, and the Prime Minister announces the government policies on the floor of the House. Other powers and functions of Prime Minister. Prime Minister is said to be the chairman of the Planning Commission, which is now called as Niti Aayog. He is said to be the chairman of National Development Council and National Integration Council and Interstate Council and a National Water Resource Council. Prime Minister is said to be a chairman of all these councils. Also, Prime Minister, he plays a significant role in shaping the foreign policy in the country. He is said to be the chief spokesperson of the union government. Prime Minister is also said to be a crisis manager in chief at a political level during the emergencies. Prime Minister is the leader of the party that is in power and he is a political head of the services. Relationship of the Prime Minister with the President. According to Article 74, there shall be a Council of Ministers along with the Prime Minister, where the Prime Minister remains as a head to aid and advise the President in the exercise of his functions, but the President may require a Council of Ministers to reconsider such a advice given by the Prime Minister, and the President shall act according to the advice that is given after such a reconsideration. And according to Article 75, the Prime Minister will be appointed by the President and the other ministers will be appointed by the President on the advice of the Prime Minister. And the President should advise only those persons who are being recommended by the Prime Minister. All the ministers will hold the office during the pleasure of the President. And the Council of Ministers, they will be collectively responsible to the House of the People. And according to Article 78, it is the duty of Prime Minister to communicate to the President regarding the decisions of the Council of Ministers that is related to the administration affairs and the proposal for legislation. Chief Ministers who became Prime Minister. There are 6 people who were a Chief Ministers and then become a Prime Minister, like Morarji Desai, Charan Singh, VP Singh, P.V. Narasimha Rao, H.D. Deve Gowda, and Narendra Modi. These are the people who were chief ministers of their states and became a prime minister of India. Morarji Desai, he was a chief minister of Bombay, and later he was succeeded by a Charan Singh, and he was the chief minister of undivided Uttar Pradesh. And VP Singh, he is also a chief minister from Uttar Pradesh, and he became a prime minister. P.V. Narasimha Rao, he was the first prime minister from South India, and he held the post from 1991 to 1996, and he was the chief minister of Andhra Pradesh. And then comes H.D. Deve Gowda, and he was the chief minister of Karnataka. And Narendra Modi, he was the chief minister of Gujarat, and he became the prime minister in the year 2014, and he served as the chief minister of Gujarat for 4 times during 2001 to 2014. See you in the next session with some other interesting topic. Thank you.